All right, welcome everyone to another fireside chat with PackView. My name is Cameron Berlin-Day. I'm an account manager here at PackView, working with a bunch of different brands across a bunch of different categories: Amazon, Walmart, Instacart, etc. Today, I'm excited to chat with Justin D'Angelo. He is the Director of Advertising at Retail Bloom, a marketplace services agency and an awesome partner of ours. Justin, it's great to have you here.
Thanks, Cameron. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Definitely. Lots to talk about. As many are aware, we had a little bit of a unique year when it comes to Prime Day because we had a second one, also called the Prime Early Access Sale here last week. And so we wanted to take some time to talk about that, get your opinion and your observations about things that you saw on this slightly more unique Prime Day later in the year in Q4. So I'll dive right in. Would love to know kind of what trends, what kind of results did we see from the Prime Early Access Sale, or as some would call it, Prime 2.0?
Yeah, I mean, from an advertising perspective, it really depended on if you were running a deal or not. And even if you were running a deal, was it on popular products or just kind of some of that stuff that you just wanted to get out of Amazon's warehouses? So if you didn't run a deal, there was a lot more traffic on Amazon, but from an ads perspective, it was best to kind of hang out in the background while still maintaining or managing your brand presence, but not to really kind of get too aggressive with bidding, things like that if you weren't running a deal, because people were on the site to find deals. So it was better to sort of save your profitability and not really get too aggressive. So if you didn't run a deal and didn't make any changes with your advertising, you probably didn't see really any increase in your spend, or maybe a slight bump in your ad revenue or total revenue, but really nothing too noticeable, because really those deals that the other brands were running kind of took those top spots in the search results and the ad placements. So if you were running a really good deal, you likely saw a pretty big spike in spend and revenue, but it really wasn't what the summer Prime Day was. We had some clients, like I have some examples here. Had one that typically spends about $1,500 a day, and they jumped to $3,000 for this October Prime event. One that went from $1,900 to $5,000 a day, $2,100 to almost $5,000. 1,700 to 3,000. So, about doubled, I would say, from a typical, day. But again, really nothing compared to the summer Prime Day.
Yeah, definitely. I think I saw some similar effects as well, where the volume maybe was a bit less than the July summer Prime Day, but we did see some week over week increases just to take advantage of that increased traffic, especially again, like you mentioned, if you had some sort of deals running. But that actually is a great segue into the next question. Was there any other distinctions that you saw between the July Prime Day and the October Early Access Sale?
Like a couple different things. I mean, I guess from an advertising perspective, like I mentioned, if you were running a really good deal, you probably saw about maybe double spend. But the July Prime Day, one of our brands that had gone from 1,900 to 5,000 this past October, in July they went from 1,800 to 15,000 in spend in a single day. So it's probably our biggest increase. But we saw a lot of brands that basically quadrupled spend from the week before to then those 2 days specific for Prime Day. So just a lot more traffic, a lot more purchasing activity, and that particular brand ran the exact same deal in July and October. So they discounted the same products by the same amount, but they just saw much bigger success back in July. And I think a lot of it had to do with kind of how Amazon was promoting this Prime event. It was, a lot more muted versus the one that's in July. They typically do a lot more like TV promo spots, digital ads, but for the October one, I really didn't see too much in terms of promotion. And I think the average consumer probably, maybe maybe kind of heard about it, but it wasn't this big event, this like big thing that people typically expect.
Yeah, I think that's also a big difference that we saw from our end, just the promotion on Amazon's side. I mean, obviously we're aware of it because this is the world that we live in.
Yeah.
But I think for the average consumer, they would have been a little bit more hard pressed to know about what was coming, and that there was going to be a pretty big sale going on. But given those results of the Prime early access sale, how are you looking to position your brands and prepping for Cyber 5, which is going to be here before we know it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the early access sale, you know, how Amazon, I guess, was trying to position it, was trying to pull forward some of those Cyber 5 sales into October so that they could capture them early. But since we saw kind of muted results versus the summer Prime Day, nothing really is going to change in terms of our strategy with our brands. We plan to execute basically in the same way as we normally do. For most of our brands, they typically do really well for Cyber 5, and we are expecting year-over-year gains. I don't think that this October Prime event was big enough to really have Cyber 5 results be flat. I mean, I guess it depends on how well you did during this Prime event, or certain categories may have seen like really deep discounts on particular products where people just bought them up and they're kind of almost done with their holiday shopping. But our strategy and how we're going to position things for Cyber 5 really isn't going to change much.
I think that makes sense. And before we had this October Prime Day 2.0, I think there was, I don't know if concern is the right word, but it was being considered, how will this affect the rest of Q4 afterwards, any sort of holiday shopping. I know from a pack view point of view, we saw that 29% of Prime early access shoppers use the sale to purchase holiday gifts. So not a majority by any means, less than a third. And then of those that purchase gifts, 69% say that they completed less than half of their holiday shopping. So I don't think that brands that have that Q4 focus really rely on that to hit yearly sales goals. I don't think they need to worry as much as they may have before we got through this October Prime event. And really because of that, I'm curious what you think, whether Amazon should do something like this next year, if it's worth it for them, if maybe they should do it and adjust how they promote it in some ways. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, even Prime Day, the summer Prime Day started out as just an experiment, and the first one went okay, and then it just kept building from there as people expected it every summer. So I think the October Prime event was a really great experiment for Amazon to gather some data, look at the sales by category and who had what discounts, what products sold, and then obviously analyze this upcoming Cyber 5 and see what kind of pull they actually had in bringing those Cyber 5 sales forward. So I mean, I think from Amazon's point of view, and they're big enough to really be able to shift consumer behavior away from Cyber 5 and into this October Prime event. So I think if they can keep up the consistency of it and not just have it be this one-off thing, or maybe try it in 2024, if they can do it consistently every year, consumers will come to expect it, especially if they know that they're going to go to this Prime event and the deals are going to be just as good or maybe even better than Cyber 5. If they can keep up that consistency, then I think that over time Amazon's going to be able to pull those Cyber 5 sales forward into October. And from their point of view, it's smart too, because during Cyber 5, like, they get slammed with a ton of orders and they have to ship a ton of stuff out within a day or two. So that's a pretty big strain on their logistics and their shipping and their delivery. So if they can take even a small percentage of that each year, as it grows, if they can pull those sales away from Cyber 5 and sort of spread out those holiday shipments, that's going to take a lot of the strain off of the typical, Cyber 5 craziness.
Yeah, no, that does make a lot of sense. And yeah, I think we don't want to judge the performance of this October Prime Day too early. It is, like you said, kind of a bit of a test, first time going through, a lot of the external factors too. I mean, it's something that we've been thinking about on our end is a lot of the economic variables that we have going on right now that affects individual shoppers. Inflation is on the mind of everyone, the prices of everything. And so, next year, if Amazon decides to do this, that might provide a really great opportunity to see, how this event does with maybe a slightly better economic environment, hopefully better economic environment. But, with everything going on, like I just mentioned, with inflation and then getting into Q4, big part of the year for every brand. I'm just interested in, what would you say is your number one tip you'd give to an advertiser preparing for these big shopping days coming up?
Yeah, good question. Whenever we take over accounts from from other agencies or even like an in-house team, typically the biggest thing that I find where people always make a mistake is budgets. And it seems like such a simple thing. If you have a particular campaign, maybe you have the budget set at $80 a day, and it typically spends $50 to $60 a day. During Black Friday and Cyber Monday, that campaign could spend $300 or $400. And so, typically we'll see people raise their budgets maybe from 80 to like 100 or 120 or something. But if you're getting a great return on that campaign, you want to set it really high to give it a ton of room to run. So, typically we'll go back and look at these campaigns that other people have run. We'll look at what the daily budget is, and we'll see that it's capped, every single day throughout the holidays. But if you're getting a great return on it, why wouldn't you want to spend, an unlimited amount, essentially? Like if you're profiting off of every sale that you're making, why limit yourself? So, that's probably the biggest thing that I see is that people just set their budgets, too low, or they only raise them a little bit, not really expecting that, the spend can go, 2, 3, 4x on a lot of these campaigns, or, like that brand that we manage that I mentioned that spent 15,000 in a single day during Prime Day. If we didn't raise our budgets high enough, a lot of those campaigns would have been shut off by 11 a.m. So they would have missed out on a ton of sales. So you really have to set those budgets high. And PackView actually has a really great budget scheduler that I use, because we have, across all of our brands, we have thousands of campaigns. Yeah. So PackView's budget scheduler allows us to say, okay, starting Thanksgiving through, Cyber Monday, I want to raise all of these budgets by 300 or 400%. And so PackView will automatically do that for us across all of those budgets. And then the day after Cyber Monday, it drops them back down to, to the original budget. So yeah, that budget scheduler tool has been a huge help. And so yeah, that's the number one tip that I would give any advertiser on Amazon during that Cyber 5 time is, be aggressive with your budgets if you're getting a really great return on those campaigns.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say I'd probably give the exact same tip. It's no matter how big or small your business is, it can be easy to get used to your budgets acting a certain way throughout the year, and then you get to a time like Cyber 5, and sometimes you get an unfortunate surprise, but hopefully brands that listen to this can address that beforehand and make sure you utilize those budgets well, and let those really well performing campaigns do their thing, and continue to push traffic and push orders, all those good things. But a lot to think about for the rest of Q4. Really interesting points about October Prime Day. Certainly interested to see if Amazon does it next year, and how it performs in 2023. But thank you again for getting online with me, Justin. It was great to talk to you, and hope to do it again in the future.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks.